What if I told you it's not what you eat that's stalling your metabolism, but the order in which you eat? There's a specific sequence that literally blinds your body to insulin spikes, reduces fat accumulation, and even turns off your hunger hormone for hours. And it starts with a food you probably already have in your fridge right now. Let me show you exactly what happens inside you when you do it right. Researchers at Weill Cornell Medical College conducted a clinical study that became a benchmark in the field. They tested what happens in the blood of real people when the order of food changes. Same meal, same calories, same amount of carbohydrates. The only difference? Those who started with protein had up to 37% lower glucose spikes and significantly lower insulin levels than those who started with carbohydrates. 37%. Just by changing the sequence. Do you know why? Because protein isn't just building material that your body appreciates. It's also a chemical signal. When it first reaches the digestive system, it triggers specific hormones that literally prepare the body to receive carbohydrates more safely, more slowly, and more controllably. It's like opening the door slowly instead of kicking it down. And the egg, in particular, has a combination of protein and fat that specifically enhances this effect. But to understand why it works so well, I need to explain what happens in the first few minutes after you chew the first bite. Think of your stomach as an hourglass. At its center, there's a valve called the pylorus, a kind of muscular gate that controls the pace at which food passes into the intestine. When you eat pure carbohydrates right away, this gate opens quickly, the rice or bread flies through, turns into glucose in minutes, and floods the bloodstream all at once. Insulin levels sky high, fat being stored. You know this cycle. Now, start with an egg. The protein and fat from the egg stimulate the release of intestinal hormones like CCK and GLP-1, which send a direct signal to this pylorus. Slow down, hold your horses. The gate partially closes. The stomach starts to work more slowly, more carefully. When the carbohydrate you eat afterward arrives in this queue, it encounters controlled traffic. Glucose enters the bloodstream in small, gradual, manageable doses. Insulin rises smoothly, and your body doesn't enter fat storage mode. The pylorus literally becomes your metabolic ally. But what happens next, in the hypothalamus, is where the magic of real satiety begins. Stay with me and hit that like button to burn more calories. I'll tell you a secret, engagement also burns fat, trust me. As soon as the protein and fat from the egg reach the duodenum, the first section of the small intestine, specialized cells in the intestinal wall immediately spring into action. They release two hormones, CCK, cholecystokinin, and GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide. Difficult names, simple function. They are chemical messengers that travel through the blood to the brain and signal. Dense nutrients received, you can relax. CCK reduces the speed of gastric emptying and sends a satiety signal directly to the hypothalamus. GLP-1 does something even more interesting. It intelligently enhances the insulin response, meaning the pancreas releases insulin proportionally and calibrated. It's the difference between an open faucet and a precise drip. If you're one of the metabels who follow me and sometimes think, it can't be just me feeling hungry right after eating, know that it's not. And I'm going to show you what's happening. Your meal is probably activating these hormones in the wrong order, and your brain never receives the signal of complete satisfaction. Let's talk about the mechanism that most interests those who want to lose weight. What happens to insulin when glucose rises too quickly? When you eat carbohydrates without protein first, glucose floods the bloodstream in minutes. The pancreas interprets this as an emergency and releases a high dose of insulin to handle the volume. Insulin does its job, removing glucose from the blood, but the excess that cells don't immediately use goes to one address: adipose tissue. Especially visceral fat, the kind that accumulates around organs and is directly associated with inflammation, insulin resistance, and chronic difficulty losing weight. With sequencing, the curve changes completely. Glucose enters slowly in small, controllable waves. The pancreas responds proportionally, without drama, without excess. Muscle cells in the liver absorb this energy efficiently, and adipose tissue simply doesn't receive the storage signal with the same intensity. It's the difference between putting out a fire with a bucket and putting it out with a regulated hose. And if insulin is the storage mechanism, Ghrelin is the sabotage mechanism, because it doesn't wait for you to be truly hungry to make you eat again. Ghrelin is primarily produced in the stomach and has a legitimate evolutionary function to signal that it's time to eat. The problem is that it doesn't distinguish real hunger from contextual hunger. It rises when the clock hits a certain time, when you see food when you're bored, and especially when the previous meal isn't properly silenced. And there's the point. A meal rich in simple carbohydrates without protein first suppresses ghrelin for only a short time. Within 2 hours, it's already rising again. That feeling of, I just ate and I already want something, isn't weakness, it's unresolved biochemistry. The egg changes this discovery on 2 simultaneous fronts. The protein and fat suppress ghrelin for a significantly longer period, and at the same time stimulate the release of peptide YY, which reinforces the satiety signal directly in the hypothalamus. It's a double silencing. You turn off the hunger alarm and activate the satisfaction signal at the same time. The practical result: less afternoon cravings, less late-night snacking, less mental battle with the fridge. But there's a question I know is on your mind right now. Okay, it works, but how do I apply this to a real, busy, everyday breakfast? The good news is that applying this doesn't require any radical changes to your routine. It's not a new diet, it's not a complicated protocol, it's not a list of restrictions. It's a sequence. The rule is simple. Start with eggs. 2 boiled, scrambled, or fried eggs before any carbohydrates in the meal. Eat slowly, chew well, and wait about 5 minutes before moving on to the rest of your plate. This interval isn't random. It's the minimum time for CCK and GLP-1 to start being released in sufficient concentration to slow down the pylorus and modulate the subsequent insulin response. To preserve the integrity of the protein and fat, prefer eggs cooked to your liking or scrambled over low heat with little added fat. Prolonged high temperatures oxidize egg fats and can reduce the bioavailability of some amino acids. It's that simple. This really changes the game, not because it's difficult, but precisely because it's too easy to seem serious. And it is. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. The principle applies to any meal that includes carbohydrates. The order is the protocol. But before you leave here and head straight to the kitchen, I need to show you a detail that most people ignore, and that might be exactly what's preventing your metabolism from responding. You know that heavy sluggishness that hits after lunch? That feeling like your brain shut down, your focus disappeared, and the only solution seems to be coffee or a sweet treat. That has a name: reactive hypoglycemia. And it's not real laziness, it's not indisposition, it's a direct consequence of an overly high insulin spike. What happens is mechanical. Glucose rises quickly. Insulin rises even faster to compensate and remove too much glucose from the blood, and then the level drops below ideal. The brain, which depends on glucose as its primary fuel, interprets this drop as an alert signal and sends an urgent request for recalibration. Result: you're hungry, unfocused, and in a bad mood 2 hours after eating. Sequencing with eggs flattens this curve at its origin. Without a high peak, there's no sharp drop. Glucose remains stable, the brain works with constant fuel, and you reach 3 in the afternoon functioning, not just surviving. And speaking of functioning well throughout the day, there's one last piece to this puzzle that brings everything you've learned today into a single sustainable habit. First, you need to hear this. The fear of eggs because of cholesterol is an old story that science has already revised. Dietary cholesterol from eggs has minimal impact on blood cholesterol for most people. What truly inflames arteries are organic and ultra-processed vegetable oils. So don't spoil the barrier effect by frying your eggs in soybean oil or mixing everything on your plate at the same time. The sequence and method of consumption are very important. A common mistake is to think that just eating an egg means you're protected, regardless of the rest. Sequencing works when you respect the order: egg first, then carbohydrates. Mixing everything on your fork at the same time nullifies a good part of the mechanism. And if you feel that even doing everything right, your metabolism still responds slowly, this could be a sign that it needs additional support. Your metabolism might be slower, but it can work in your favor again. Click the link below and discover the supplement that can help you. Now that you understand each piece of this mechanism, it's time to close the loop with what truly sustains this result in the long term. So here's your plan. 7 days, one single change. Start every meal with 2 eggs, wait 5 minutes, then have the rest. That's it. No cutting carbs, no counting calories, no suffering. Try it and tell me in the comments what has changed. Energy, hunger, bloating. The results speak for themselves. Go ahead and send this video to the group before someone starts another crazy diet.